Gastritis is not just a temporary upset stomach or harmless heartburn after a heavy dinner. In fact, we are talking about a serious inflammatory process affecting the gastric mucosa. According to statistics from the World Health Organization, almost every second inhabitant of the planet is confronted with various manifestations of gastritis, and every third lives with a chronic form of this disease without even knowing it. Many people tend to ignore abdominal discomfort, attributing it to something I ate wrong, overeated, or nerves. However, it is precisely this disregard for body signals that can become the starting point for the development of much more dangerous pathologies, including peptic ulcer disease, bleeding, gastric perforation, and even oncological processes. Modern gastroenterology has established that in the vast majority of cases, about 90%, the cause of gastritis is the bacterium Helicobacter pylori. This microscopic settler is able to live in the stomach for years, remaining in a latent state. It does not cause symptoms until external factors, stress, alcohol abuse, smoking, irregular meals, fast food, taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, weaken the protective mechanisms of the mucous membrane. As soon as the barrier is breached, the bacterium activates, releasing toxins and enzymes that destroy epithelial cells, which leads to inflammation. Acute forms of gastritis can indeed occur suddenly. For example, after food poisoning, excessive consumption of spicy, fatty, or pickled foods, or when taking aggressive medications. The symptoms in this case are pronounced: sharp pain in the epigastrium, nausea, vomiting, heartburn, and bloating. However, if such manifestations occur regularly, even in a mild form, it is most likely a chronic gastritis, a condition that, requires a comprehensive and long-term approach. One of the most common symptoms is heartburn. Many people are still trying to put out it with soda, considering it a quick and affordable solution. However, this method not only does not cure, but also, honestly, exacerbates the problem. When interacting with hydrochloric acid, baking soda causes short-term relief, but then provokes an acid rebound, increased secretion of gastric juice, which just worsens the condition. It is much safer to use alkaline mineral water without gas, like Borjomi, Essentuki No. 4, or Smirnovskaya, which gently neutralizes excess acid without disturbing the overall acid-base balance of the body. Treatment of exacerbation of chronic gastritis usually takes 2 to 3 weeks, but only if all recommendations are strictly followed. A special diet, table number 1 or number 2, depending on the acidity. Taking prescribed medications like antacids, proton pump inhibitors, and antibiotics for H. pylori eradication, and of course, completely avoiding irritating factors. However, the biggest mistake is to return to your previous lifestyle immediately after the symptoms disappear. Healthy eating should really become a way of life, not just a temporary measure. Regular snacks with dry water, coffee on an empty stomach, late dinners, and stress. All of this brings gastritis back over and over again. Phytotherapy also occupies a special place in therapy, but only with the proper selection of herbs, depending on the type of gastritis. With low acidity or hypoacid gastritis, preparations that stimulate the secretion of gastric juice are used: mint, wormwood, chamomile, St. John's wort, psyllium, calamus marsh, Aralia manchuria, sage, and dandelion root. This collection is infused for 30 to 40 minutes and taken 20 to 30 minutes before meals, about 1/3 of a cup at a time. With increased acidity or hyperacid gastritis, herbs with enveloping, anti-inflammatory, and wound healing effects are used: St. John's wort, psyllium leaves, marshmallow, yarrow, golden millet, bird's knotweed, cumin, mint, and calamus root. This collection is boiled for 10 to 12 minutes on low heat, infused, and then drunk after meals to soften irritation of the mucous membrane and reduce the aggressive effects of gastric juice. But the most important thing is to realize the potential consequences of inaction. Untreated chronic gastritis can turn into a peptic ulcer, which can lead to life-threatening complications such as perforation, meaning a hole in the stomach wall, or gastrointestinal bleeding. An even more alarming scenario is the development of atrophic gastritis, in which the glandular mucosal tissue is gradually replaced by fibrous, or scar, tissue. This condition is officially recognized as precancerous, since it creates a favorable environment for cell mutations and the formation of malignant tumors. Fortunately, with timely medical attention, proper diagnosis, including FGDS and an H. pylori test, and, honestly, a responsible attitude to treatment, the prognosis is favorable in most cases. Gastritis is not a verdict, but it is also not a reason for frivolity. Your stomach is one of the most important digestive organs, and it really does deserve careful treatment. Listen to your body. If you regularly feel heaviness, bloating, bitterness in your mouth, or discomfort in your upper abdomen after eating, don't wait for it to pass by itself. Contact a gastroenterologist, get checked out, and begin treatment. After all, real health does not begin with pills, but with a conscious choice in favor of caring, attention, and respect for your body.